Hi, this is Jesse Cranio again, coming to you for one more episode of Desperate Teachers, with recipes, relief and support for developing and tired teachers. In this podcast, we look at how teachers can improve and further their teaching, while making teaching more successful for teachers and students. This podcast is for English teachers and teachers at large everywhere, whatever you may be teaching or contemplating to teach. Desperate Teachers is helping teachers teach, because teachers have questions too. This material is copyright 2016 on all known supports and all supports to come. Today we look at phonetics and lab work. Communication is all about passing messages and exchanging ideas, with a view to making people more proficient and more efficient. For communication to be efficient, the communicator needs to be sure he or she is understood, or else you might as well be talking to a brick wall or talking to the wind. Oral expression and oral comprehension is the first and main part of communication. They usually occur before any form of written communication, expression, or reading comprehension. That's where phonetics and pronunciation really step in. Through active listening and active speaking, responses to bad communication vary from abandon to daydreaming or ignorance via despair. They only lead to no response eventually. How can you respond to something you don't understand? Again, responses may vary from culture to culture, from exasperation to polite mimicry or semaphore. In any case, the communication has missed both the point and the target. Reading is a good test. Reading aloud develops training in the language practice, and it builds confidence for the speakers, especially the most reserved ones, while it's a good opportunity for the teachers to actively hear the students at oral expression. Reading will often be the first and only expression you get from the quieter students, at least in early stages. Everybody needs to build up and develop confidence, because reading is an oral exercise. I would never advise teachers to stop the students at every mistake, but at least the most important ones or the most common words to begin with. Still, one way or another, every mistake must be corrected, including in pronunciation. I will never repeat this enough. Most of my students coming from other or earlier courses complain that their teachers never ever corrected them. So they never knew where nor why they were wrong. How disappointing. The language laboratory must be used at most levels, especially at the lower levels. People cannot assess their own level, especially those who haven't really used English yet. They will either underestimate their skills or overestimate them, often grossly. That's why they need a proper audit and follow-up. I regularly get students who claim to understand very well, but perform poorly when tested and audited, a clear sign that they're not as good as they thought. There are different ways to approach phonetics. We all have our kids read aloud during their early school years. Is more than highly recommendable and is a great way to work on phonetics. Songs and poetry will tremendously help too, through the very patterns of the writing and singing or reading. The rhymes alone will speak volumes in favor of that. Pictures and illustrations are also an excellent way to promote oral expression and phonetics. I never miss an opportunity to ask my students to describe a visual or imagine the situation. Oral expression and listening comprehension are the ultimate tests in phonetics. Voice and accent. Let's also remember that the teacher is not there to give the students a perfect British or whatever accent, but a level of phonetics that will enable a two-way communication through speaking and listening skills. And students need to find their English voice. French actor, radio host and writer Guillaume Gallienne was once commenting in a program on how his voice was different in each French, Spanish and English. Something I had always known, having been raised in different languages and places and times, and therefore having learnt different languages in my life. Language lab rules. The first rule of language laboratory work is listen. Not necessarily to understand, but to listen. Let it come to you and sink in. Understanding will come. Of course, the choice of audio material will be related to the level, the needs and the objectives of the students, and ideally they should be flattering to begin with, while remaining challenging. All the same, your tracks should be anything between 30 to 90 seconds. Make sure you work from the shorter to the longer or easier to the more challenging tracks. It gives the students a chance to get into the exercise and warms them up as well. Approach. Play the track once. Then, ask students to report what they understand. Don't take no for an answer, no matter how little they can feed back. Then, play the audio track a second time. Again, ask the students to report on what they understand. Play the audio track a third time. And then again, ask the students to report on what they understand, or what they think they understand. During the whole exercise, the teacher does not correct meaning or ideas, but only and solely phonetics and language, not ideas. It is up to the students to make their own corrections and update on the comments and meaning as they plow through the lab work and drills, until they get to the end of it and realize their progress. Then play a short extract and ask students to repeat what they hear. At this point, they don't need to understand, since the objective is to repeat mechanically as it were. Say ABC. When they get it right, move on to the next sequence. If you feel they need validating or consolidating, replay ABC, then DEF, and ask them to repeat the new part only, i.e. DEF, until they get it as right as possible up to 3 times. Then GHI, and proceed likewise right through to the end of the recording. The teacher will find that depending on the whole length of the track, the lab work should be paused once or twice through the repeat exercise so the students can recap on what's going on and what they've understood and achieved so far. It must be stressed here again that the whole lab exercise must be done to mechanically copy what they hear and not what they understand, while understanding will happen, of course, in due course. I like to say that the final aim of this exercise is for the teacher to hear through the student's ear. The students will understand the recording, or most of it, and self-correct it before the teachers need to step in. Be encouraging. There is no such thing as a small victory. Each and every syllable, word, phrase they get right is good. One step closer to success. The glass is always half full. Watch that you don't overcorrect. You wouldn't want to be discouraging. Remain watchful and help your students with corrections. So long as you remain positive and constructive and encouraging, your students will value and accept your support. At the end of the track, replay the complete track once so the students can recollect their thoughts around the idea and assess what they have understood themselves, bringing them to realization and awareness. After doing this for the first time, ask students to assess their progress from the first time they listen to their understanding after the exercise. On a scale of 1 to 100, did they understand 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 25 or more %? At the beginning and then again at the end. The realization is so powerful they'll be working their way right through every lab drill with you. Furthermore, repeating like this ensures they memorize, and you know what they're at. Their understanding, their speed, their phonetics. their good command of listening comprehension and an oral expression. You have just been listening to the track literally through their ears. The more you do this, the better and the quicker they are at it. And the positive side effect is that this also develops their oral expression. Another great benefit is it trains the students to understand and develop ease when communicating on the phone. One of their most dreaded experiences. Goes to show, oral and lab work can really work beyond what meets the ear. For more on teaching, check my book, The Comprehensive Teacher, also an audiobook by Maxine Lennon. Remember, always keep calm and speak English. Nobody will get hurt. All my audiobooks, ebooks and books are for sale on Amazon, Fnac, Kobo, iTunes, and maybe listened to or read on most smartphones, tablets and computers. I regularly offer training and coaching sessions and workshops to professionals and individuals. My services include training and coaching for teachers and trainers, in-company training, languages and communication, writers and authors, the media. I also translate from French into Italian and from French into English and back. I train and coach on teaching and training in teaching in English, French, Italian and Spanish. And for further questions and more information, contact me at jesse.cranu@yahoo.fr. That is Jesse, Jesse, .cranu, CRAIGNOU @yahoo.fr. I will do my very best to answer new questions and take suggestions. See you in our next podcast.